The Mandalorian's third season premieres in just a few days, and while I am excited for it, there's a burning thought in the back of my mind, and it's been there for some time. Now, I love Star Wars, but sometimes the people who make Star Wars make choices for the franchise that just don't sit right with me. Let me start by saying for those who are new to my channel that I very much enjoy The Mandalorian. Even in Star Wars properties I don't like, I can still find something to appreciate no matter how small or insignificant. There's really not that much in The Mandalorian that I don't like. Yet. There's been subtle hints and signs of this development in the last season, but I imagine this will pick up a lot more in this new third season. Despite this show kind of being its own little contained thing, but not really, it will inevitably connect to, set up, and explain the sequel trilogy, and I'm a little concerned. Despite what clickbait jerk-offs like Doomcock or Mike Zero may have claimed over the past several years, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are not canning the sequel trilogy. They're doing the exact opposite. On a side note, despite being fucking insufferable, Doomcock and Mike Zero actually inspire me. If these guys can grow a large audience from making shit up out of thin air, then so can I, and so can anybody else. But anyways, they built an entire theme park based around the sequels. You are an idiot if you think they're going to throw it all away. No matter how much I or you hate the sequels, and trust me, I really hate the sequels, they're still canon. Moff Gideon may have been pretty vague about Grogu's importance, but it's pretty obvious it's connected to this shit.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
No matter how hard this show, Ahsoka, or any other shows in the Mandoverse tries, it will not fix the sequel trilogy. If you're more of an optimist, you may be asking, well hey now Remnacor, the prequels were hated a lot when they came out, but the Clone Wars fixed a lot of the problems in them. Why can't Mandalorian do the same thing for the sequels? That's a good question, and here's why. The Clone Wars fixes the prequels through fleshing out characters, adding nuance, and adding more depth to events that we already know the conclusion of. Anakin and Obi-Wan talk about how they're such good friends and went on so many cool adventures, but we never saw that until the Clone Wars. The clones are just clones, indistinguishable from one another unless they're directly named in the movies like Commander Cody. Then the Clone Wars created some of the most compelling stories that added actual character to all these guys who look and sound the same. Anakin falls to the dark side pretty quickly and it feels kind of rushed, but then you watch the Clone Wars and you think, oh, okay, yeah, no, this was a long time coming, this makes a lot more sense. The motivations and character arcs of Rey, Finn, and Poe are not that obscure or confusing. Those aren't problems that need to be explained or have context added to it through other TV shows. The real problem with the sequels is that a lot of what it establishes just doesn't make any fucking sense. It would be like if Attack of the Clones didn't have Obi-Wan going to Kamino and discovering the clone army, and instead the clones just appear in the third act and the creation was never addressed or explained until the Clone Wars series. My point is that the gaps the Mandalorian will inevitably fill in are nothing at all like the gaps the Clone Wars filled in for the prequels. Again, the third season is not out yet, so I have no idea how much they're going to show or explain, but from what I understand, we're going to spend more time with Dr. Pershing, who is definitely connected to the Imperial Remnant cloning operation, and apparently we're gonna see Praetorian guards from The Last Jedi, except Mandalorian versions? I don't know. This show and others like it are going to tie into the sequels, but that doesn't mean it's going to fix it or even do a good job at tying into it. When I see Anakin and Tarkin shake hands while a few notes from Vader's theme plays, I see it as added backstory to the two that foreshadows their future roles in the Empire. But when I hear Moff Gideon hint at wanting to use midichlorians from Grogu's blood to resurrect Emperor Palpatine, I roll my eyes and just say, oh my god, okay, whatever. The reason I'm so confident this show will not fix the sequels is that other properties in Star Wars have already tried and, in my opinion, failed miserably. In the new Darth Vader comics between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader went to Exegol and saw Palpatine's cloning facilities and the entire Sith fleet. Darth Vader physically set foot on Exegol and saw Palpatine's backup plan, or his backup plan, I don't care. This retcon creates so many more problems they have to fill in, and they will never make it work. So now in canon, Darth Vader went to Exegol and saw what Palpatine was building there and just didn't tell Luke about it.
No. Go, my son.
Wait, no, you don't get to just fuck off and die right now. You have to tell Luke what you saw in Exegol. Jesus Christ, this guy's a shitty father. This is the reality of retcons for the Star Wars sequels. They don't fucking work. Luke and Lando spent God knows how long with their dicks buried in the sand looking for a Sith wayfinder to get to Exegol when there's one on Mustafar outside Vader's castle. Now you have to invent reasons for why Anakin never appeared to Luke to say, hey son, just go to Mustafar, my Sith wayfinder is there. There are so many stupid retcons for the sequels now. There's a whole thing in the comics now where Palpatine sent Ochi, that random one-off guy from The Rise of Skywalker who died off screen, had the MacGuffin dagger, and killed Rey's parents, to hunt down Darth Vader. Vader. You know how Palpatine seemed pretty taken aback by Darth Vader's betrayal and he screams as he falls down this reactor shaft? Well, in canon now, he wasn't surprised at all. Palpatine knew Vader would betray him and he wanted this to happen. Palpatine let the rebels land on Endor, blow everything up, let Vader kill him, and let his empire collapse. Also, he could live in a decrepit clone body hooked up to 100 IVs for 30 years, all while a few scattered Imperial remnants plot to bring back the Empire with a makeover, all with zero pushback from the new government. These comics and books are adding so many retcons to these movies and the time between them that it necessitates even more retcons to make the first retcons make any sense at all. Kira from Solo running Crimson Dawn and stealing a frozen Han from Boba Fett and forcing him to steal him back is a fine retcon. It doesn't have much consequence for the broader narrative. But having a half-clone of Palpatine that wasn't Force-sensitive, that for some reason is considered his son, that got banished to live on Jakku and became Rey's father is fucking nonsense. All I can do is hope and pray that whatever this show does to connect to or explain the sequels doesn't have the same domino effect of retcon after retcon after retcon. But even if it doesn't, again, that does not mean it will fix the sequels. The sequels told us the New Republic was so naive, ignorant, and stubborn that they ignored all these red flags and eventually got blown up. So seeing the incompetence of the New Republic in The Mandalorian isn't going to fix the issue of these guys being stupid and eventually dying. We're just gonna see them being stupid for ourselves. Even if this show somehow managed to make the sudden rise of the First Order make sense, it wouldn't really matter because the First Order becomes irrelevant in The Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine used Force VR to control the body of Not Kino Loy from Andor to create the First Order, while also making a separate army 10,000 times bigger than that and calling it the Final Order. I don't imagine The Mandalorian will explore the construction of the Sith fleet because it doesn't need to, and it really shouldn't. I will be genuinely angry if Din and Grogu's journey devolves into adventures around set pieces that connect to the sequels, especially The Rise of Skywalker. The Mandalorian is a good show, but I think it may shoot itself in its own foot if it digs too deep into building up the sequels. Even if it stayed as far away from it as possible, whatever happens in the show can't really be of that much consequence to the larger narrative in the galaxy as a whole. Even if all of this culminates in an epic showdown between all these heroes and Grand Admiral Thrawn and his fleet, it can't really have that much consequence for the larger narrative in the galaxy at whole because, well, it's not in the sequels. I just hope at the very least, The Mandalorian's connections to the sequels make them suck just a little bit less. I'm not expecting to suddenly love the sequels and apologize for bashing them, but I can't deny I am curious to see what Favreau and Filoni came up to explain JJ and Ryan's mess. They have a good thing going with these characters and narrative right now, so if the sequel tie-ins overstay their welcome, it could very well weigh down the entire show. That's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy, please drop a like on this video and subscribe for more videos like this one. I have an Instagram, Twitter, and Discord server where you can follow me as well, and I cherish every follower I gain over there, so thank you. I am Remnacor. I will see you all in the next one.
Please consider subscribing to Remnacor's YouTube channel. He's a YouTuber who I really like, and I think you all will like him too. So subscribe and like this video. Thank you, Jack.